To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from. Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans and all you MLS fans too. We got space for you as well. Today, it's another round of group therapy as the LA Galaxy remains winless on the year after a 1-0 away loss against Herediano in the first leg of the round of 16 Champions Cup match on Wednesday, March 5th. That's 3 games up, 3 matches with the loss to start the year after not losing 2 in a row in all of the last season. The Galaxy looked better on the road in Costa Rica, but looked like they left their shooting boots stateside as a lone goal by Herediano was enough to take the victory from the Galaxy and a goal advantage back to Los Angeles. We'll look at everything you need to know from that loss. We'll also be joined by special guest Mo Seca of MoFutbol, who will help us take a look at the LA Galaxy versus St. Louis City as LA keeps up the search for their first victory of the year. Plus, a debutante and a 2-time champion were the bright spots in the Champions Cup on the 3rd straight edition of Sadflowers tonight on the pod. All that and more coming up on La Cuna Galaxiana. But before we get into everything, another loss, which obviously we don't want to talk about, but we have to. Let's get into all that good housekeeping, and let me introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find me online at El Escudero de LA and my written work at the Sporting Tribune and Extra Time Talk. And right next to me, as usual, El Gitano Perdido y El Yerno Guapo, and I'm still calling him the birthday boy because, hey, it was just a couple days ago. Ananda Kirana, ¿cómo estás, papá?
Could be better. Could be better, right? I think a lot of us in Galaxylandia are feeling what a difference a year makes. We just said it last year. Now we're going to say it in this year, and not for the right reasons, unfortunately. But yeah, man, overall, just honestly, just disappointed. Just disappointed. I think that's going to be my one-word match reaction. Just disappointed, man. We actually played a little bit better. I think there's some signs of life. There's some signs of improvement, but we just can't get over the line, right? We just can't put the ball back of the net. That's the biggest problem right now. We'll get into some good stats and a lot of evidence of and maybe reasons of why that is, right? We'll get into the reaction a little bit. But like I said, some positive signs. Just disappointed that we couldn't get that one away goal. That's all we needed, Rob. Just that one goal to get it, a little bit more comfortable getting back at home. Because, I mean, in reality, we only have to score a goal at home and keep, the ball out of our net in the return leg. But I think even the offensive part, just scoring a goal, seems really, really hard for this team right now. And that's what gets me a little nervous. So we'll see how the results go, man, over the next couple of days. But yeah, just disappointed.
Yeah, man. Definitely disappointing. Really quick before we go on, GCam, our brother out there in chat, says he survived his managerial accounting exam. Raquinho rega por nosotros. Won't he do it? Yeah, and shout out to everybody in chat. Man, it's
thanks, GCam.
We've been on the ups and the downs here on this pod. Last year it was tons of good times and a championship to celebrate, and right now it's those downtimes. We're listening to the blues, but esto es cuando necesitan más de ustedes. This is when they need you the most, right? And you know what? We are lucky enough to have you guys. We hit 500 subs. We're on the march now to 600. I know you guys are going to keep telling your beloveds, hey, guess what? We got this pod. They talk Galaxy, they talk MLS, and they're two knuckleheads who would otherwise be annoying their wives if we didn't have this outlet. So thank you to you guys for keeping us married, because thank you for letting us be here. Since we did hit 500 subs, we do have some super chats now available for y'all. Go ahead and become lucky number 6, signifying the Galaxy's 6 trophies. We do appreciate it. We are trying to drink some more horchata for sure. And because El Cuate Nandita, he's very humble and he's not going to pump it up himself. Let me pump up him and El Profe Alex Ruiz. Yes, the man who launched 1,000 tweets. They just released a new Los Galacticos video, episode 5, LA Galaxy's midfield mystery. Yeah, it is a little bit of a mystery. I keep contending that's where the Galaxy are winning and losing games right now. But if you guys want to know more about what the Galaxy is doing tactically at the moment, go ahead and check that one out. That's episode 5. And Ananda, you gave me your one word, disappointing. I'm gonna can I give you a phrase rather than a word?
You can give me whatever you want, man.
Oh man, you could get whatever you to paraphrase the Stones, I can't get no satisfaction. And it's basically the Galaxy can't buy a bucket right now, man. They've only scored 1 goal on the year. They had several good chances in this one, including a one that you would expect to find the back of the net, but we'll get into all of that. And yeah, I think you got one thing left in your piece of housekeeping, and then we can hit this game proper, right?
Yeah. I just a couple things, I guess. So as I always say, you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana.
Stalk him.
If you want to follow us on all of our socials, our handle is the title or the name of this show at Laguna Galaxiana. Pretty simple tag there, guys. And yeah, like Rob said, thank you so much for getting us to 500. We are on the march to 600. So for sure, you must be laughing at a comment. I have not seen the comments right now, so I will get to that in a second. But yeah, just really thank you guys, and hopefully we can get to 600 by April, man. So you know, we've got a little bit of time, so help us out, guys. But you know, just thank you so much for all your support. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches.
Ahí está.
Y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Sad Foo Hours, the group therapy session, volumen número 3.
Yeah,
edition.
Yeah, CONCACAF edition. Sad Foo Hours Part 3, CONCACAF edition. Let's go. Chat. I love you guys. I mean, you guys are always bringing the comedy. Marvin G. It says we need Olympia as a team. Better yet, some more to speed up the recovery process. I'm just gonna read like the whole series. And says GM says, dude, we're with a good time. Not even sad fools anymore. We got fools now, says Raul. And the one and only says, sí, pero los huevos están muy caros. Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I mean, I saw my friend had a dozen eggs the other day, and I was like, oh, aren't you an affluent household like 1%ers over here, right? But anyway, Galaxy are 0%ers right now at the moment, as in 0 wins. It's like I said, Raquinho ruega por nosotros. But before we get into this game, the Galaxy reinforced themselves for the trip by signing Sean Karani to a short-term deal. Yeah, it's no secret they've been hit by the injury bug. The ambulance for sure is needed out there at the digs. So they picked up Sean Karani from VCFC. The 24-year-old scored 6 goals and had 2 assists in 31 matches played last year for VCFC. And the Bruin, the UCLA product, it had 6 goals and an assist in 19 appearances in 2023. So Cat has game in him. You know, we saw him for a little bit yesterday, but we'll save it anyway. So this is one of those short-term deals, and of course, you got to remember, a club may sign a player age 25 or younger each season, so that they can go ahead and do 4 of these short-term deals each season, right? And he can be, so Karani now can be included on any of the 4 MLS League match rosters because he hasn't played in the league yet. He just played in the CONCACAF Champions League, and that's as of this rule. Any individual player may appear in any number of non-league games during the terms of a four short-term agreements. So it looks like we might see Sean Karani a little bit more, especially like we said that Galaxy are dealing with that injury bug. G Cam with the first super chat of the day. He says, LCG rocks. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for all the hard work you guys put into this pod. Para la horchata merequino. Bless us and this team. Like I said, won't he do it?
From your lips to Lord's ears, G-Cam.
Yeah. Oh, man. Requinito, rega por nosotros. And yeah, so anyway, we're putting all the prayers out there because obviously the Galaxy is still winless. Yesterday was the great hope for the team, kicking off their Champions Cup campaign here after not being in the tournament since 2015-2016, and they drop the first leg to Herediano 1-0 in Costa Rica. A mistake in the back allowed Elijah Winder to be dispossessed, and Herediano captain Elias Aguilar was fed the ball, and he took full advantage of that misstep to drive on goal and unleash a curling effort past John McCarthy for the game's only goal in the 65th minute. We've mentioned it a couple times already. The Galaxy had several chances to get a goal and a lead, and most of these chances fell to Gabriel Peck in the first half. In the second half, Marco Royce had a one-on-one stopped by Danny Carvajal in the 60th minute, which would have tied the score just minutes after Herediano took the lead. And now Herediano takes a 1-0 advantage into the second leg next Wednesday in Los Angeles. This is the first time Herediano has beat the Galaxy. We'll start at the beginning, Ananda. We saw a rotated lineup here from the one that we saw on the weekend. John McCarthy made his first start. What else did you see out of this lineup?
Yeah, I think the important, we're going to go what we did last time because I think the formation was interesting, Rob. I even texted you. I caught this game a little bit late because it was hard finding the stream, and I didn't know that CONCACAF had their own stream on YouTube. So there you go, guys. Yeah. If you couldn't find the stream, the CONCACAF channel on YouTube has their own stream. So figure that out about 20 minutes into the game. But I texted you. I was like, am my eyes deceiving me? Am I seeing a back three that I haven't seen in like 2 seasons? And it turned out to be, right. So you guys see it on the screen there in terms of the lineup. And look, part of it is Greg was probably forced into this. The other part is maybe he's just trying some things out, Rob. He's just trying some things to see if we can unlock some things, maybe find some combinations or partnerships that work, right? And I thought Aude, I always thought that Aude was a better wing back than a left back, although he can do that job pretty admirably. He's done it even in the beginning of his Galaxy career, but as a wing back, he really does bring a lot of sort of forward movement and thrust on that left-hand side. He goes up and down that pitch, man. He's got a lot of stamina. He's got, kind of deceptive pace, right? Because he's got a pretty long stride. So that was interesting. And of course, we'll talk about this kid in a little bit, but Harbor Miller getting his first start at that right wing back position.
Rumble, rumble.
We'll save sort of the notes for his performance a little bit later. So I think the big takeaway for me, Rob, for this one was just the formation. And I think that caught me a little bit off guard, but then if I really think about it, probably makes sense in the fact that probably Greg is looking to try something and just trying to see what combinations, like I said, the partnerships, because the partnerships have not worked the first 2 games. So I think, bravo for Greg for at least trying something and seeing if something would work out. To be honest, we didn't have a bad first half. So I was okay with this lineup.
You mentioned earlier that, the Galaxy looked a little better first. I'm going to give you a 2-parter right here because, I picked up on this in the game too, but it was interesting. We've seen Aude kind of play further up, but we didn't see that. We've never seen a Harbor Miller to begin with, but we haven't really seen Greg do the 3-4-3 in a while. So, he does it very, very scarcely. So, first, the 4 in the middle there, do you think it's because they've been getting overrun in the middle in the previous 2 matches? And like you said, he's kind of necessitated into going into this. And then what do you think was what it was about this formation that made them look a little bit better in this match?
I think it's just getting more overloads in certain spaces, especially on the wings, right? Especially on the sides, and I think that's where Greg really tried to again gain those numerical advantages that he likes. I think against this Herediano team, he probably felt like two in the middle was enough, and he wanted to really exploit and make this thing more vertical, right? Because we've seen in the first two games that the Galaxy have not, there's no dynamism, using a Greg word. There's nothing dynamic about the attack, right? And I think he wanted to get more bodies up and down the sides in this particular case, and just more verticality in the team. So I think that's where he went with it. But the other thing is, like I said, I think he was just forced into it, right? Based off of the personnel, based off of the fact that, you know what, like I'm playing some young kids in there. I'm putting Julian Aure in there. You know, can I get some more? We've seen even in the stats in the first two games, Rob, there hasn't been a positive stat, both in a possession perspective and a, you know, being in the opponent's half perspective. And actually, this reminded me of something that when I was recording the video with Alex the other day, he made a really, really good observation or point, which is, you remember, Rob, in the 23 season,
You're about to give him a spoiler?
No, well, we talked about it a little bit, but it was just like a data point to a larger point that we made. But you remember in the 23 season, Greg, I mean, the Galaxy we were conceding possession a lot, especially when we had that stretch without Ricky towards the end of the season. The numbers just didn't look like a Galaxy team, right? And Alex pointed out that Greg, in those certain games where we were outpossessed, he talked a lot about when you don't have control possession of the ball, you tend to chase the game quite a bit, right? And that breeds fatigue. And fatigue breeds a loss of concentration, just a drop in levels, right? Because you're chasing the game, you're chasing the ball on the defensive side. So I think you're starting to see that maybe creep into this Galaxy team a little bit. And also, we don't want to get into that habit, right? We don't want to see that trend. So I think the fact that this 3-4-3, I think it helped a little bit in the possession stats, as we'll see later. And I think it just helped us, you know, like I said, try to gain some offensive momentum. But like I said, yes, it was an improvement, but I'm going to say this, it was kind of a minimal improvement, if you ask me.
Okay. No, fair enough. John McCarthy makes his first start. Mikovic had played the first two MLS club matches there. So what'd you make of his performance, or should we kick it over to Greg and see what he says, and then maybe you follow up on what Greg has to say?
Yeah, well, I think you asked the question, so I'm going to have you follow up to what you thought at that moment when he talked about John McCarthy's performance. So here you go, guys.
Look at him turning the tables.
I thought John had an excellent game. Again, I think he made very mature decisions in moments throughout the game. Just again, the areas around the goals were bouncy, and I think in terms of risk taking and not. He was very calculated in a lot of those moments, and I thought he made some big saves in a couple of situations that he needed to come up big. So again, I thought he showed, you know, good presence in the back like he always has. I thought Harbour was excellent.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, since you asked me, I mean, it's hard to hate on the guy's performance. I mean, he went in there after not having played, yet this season, and he put in a great performance. I mean, Aguilar's goal is a good curling effort. Debatable. I mean, I saw some people online that were saying like, "Oh, he should have stopped that." Even some people that were saying,
shot. No.
"Yeah, no, I mean, I agree," but some people maybe just stir the pot. Were like, "Oh, my boy Mikovic would have saved that," and so I don't think you're ever gonna please anybody, but I think generally his performance was pretty nice. The homie Raji hits up a super chat for $1.99. Hey, $1.99 out of your mind.
Thank you, sir.
Man,
I wish things were $1.99 out of your mind. Jeez,
yeah, right.
man.
XPH hits us with the 30 spot. Win as much as Corneros. Pleasantly surprised by Harbour Miller. Garcia is playing great. Europe calling soon. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting topic here.
Yeah, I can see that.
We're going to have to get into that for sure, Ananda. Thank you, Ananda and Rob, for all the constant work. Thank you, man, for being in here. Thank you, Raji, for being in here, man. Like we all say, like, the day ones that have been with us, man.
Man, I could easily see Garces playing for like a Nottingham Forest, a Wolves, I could totally see a Fulham easily, bro. Can you imagine Jedi Robinson and Garces on one side? Sheesh. That is just
Hey,
pace and power like crazy.
yeah,
Man.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the guy has been. I mean, like we said, he is what the unofficial fastest player in the world because they clocked Joe Painstill as fastest player in the world last year, and Garces beat that, and I believe in the first match, was it against San Diego? Unofficially, Garces is the fastest player in the world. Roger says, "Yo, I was going to ask Rob if he would be at media day, and so asked Vanny about bringing in J Mac, and will Mickey be ready? For sure. Media day is tomorrow. We will try to get clarification on Mickey, who I believe he already said is a couple of weeks away, so I don't think we'll see him this weekend, but we'll get clarification on the lineup. And I don't really think Greg is gonna show his cards on this one. I think even if we ask him outright, we kind of have on occasion asked him outright, and he's like, "Oh, you guys just want me to say," and he just kind of evades that one. So I don't think we're gonna find out if he's gonna bring in J Mac or he's gonna stick with Mikovic. I think that's gonna be one of those ones that we're just gonna have to wait and see. If I had to guess, though, Ro, I would say that they're gonna go with Mikovic again. He seems to be in the plan this year, and 2 games is a small sample size. I understand that it hasn't worked yet, but they're high on him. They see something good on him, and now the stats support the at least the project or the idea. So let's see what happens. But anyway, we already told you guys about the goal. This was a beautiful curling effort by Aguilar, but what leads to that is a mistake there in the back by young Elijah Winder, who credit to him, got on with it. But I saw a bunch of stuff about him as well online, and again, guys, it's small sample size, 3 matches. He's a young guy getting used to the league, getting used to his first international competition. So I think you have to give him a little bit of latitude here. Ananda, this was just kind of like they weren't able to get out of that gear, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just can't put the ball in the back of the net, Rob. It's really what it is. Like we had, like we'll get into the stats in a little bit. I know you've got some overall stats as well, but I feel like we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, right? Marco Royce had a good opportunity, like you said. I think our ball progression was a bit better. Our dominance in their opposition half was a bit better. Now, granted, I couldn't tell you if this Costa Rican team is to the level of MLS competition. They definitely play more physical, right? More scrappy. But I like I said, positive signs, but just couldn't get that final action, man.
Yeah, they had a couple of chances. I mean, you mentioned that you thought they looked better in the first half. They had a couple of chances through Gabriel Peck in the first half, and they just can't put it in the back of the net. You would expect a seasoned vet like Marco Royce to finish his chance in the 67th minute, and Carvajal comes up big. I mean, debatable on whether Royce can't put that one away or Carvajal just makes an incredible save. Either way, you would be betting on Marco Royce to put that one away. It doesn't happen, and so the Galaxy fall 1-0 to Herediano in the first leg there in Costa Rica. Like Ananda said, some overall match stats here. Harbor Miller, Ruben Ramos Jr. both made their first career starts for the Galaxy in the CONCACAF Champions round of 16. They haven't started for the Galaxy in MLS yet, but Miller started and played 90 minutes while Ramos Jr. played 61. And Miller is the youngest player in Galaxy history to start a CONCACAF Champions Cup match. And he just narrowly beats out Jack McBean for that record by 1 day, 17 years, 8 months, and 14 versus 15 days. Yeah, 1 day. So he just beats out Jack McBean by 1 day. So remember we told you guys about Sean Karani signing that short-term deal? Well, the Galaxy ended up using Sean Karani. He made his debut for the Galaxy and played 12 minutes of action as a second half sub. I thought, he got into some good positions, but ultimately, he didn't make too much of a dent on the match. And it's hard to really come on for your first match and then turn the tide in 12 minutes. But, that's what Jean Karani was asked to do. The loss means the Galaxy have now lost 3 matches across all competitions, and they hold a 0-3-0 record. They play 6 more matches across March, 3 home and 3 away, and 9 all-time matches managed in the Champions League by Greg Vanney as a 3-3-3 record. And I know that the numbers guy worked hard all day with Lord Raquinho to come up with these match stats. So what's good with it? What's the story according to the stats?
So if I can pull this up, there it is. Man, StreamYard has this weird option today, so it's trying to figure this out. But anyways, so guys, match stats. So thank you again to Galaxy Comms for passing this along. Final box score here. So I'll point out some of the key stats. Pretty similar on shots. 11 Herediano to our 10. 5 of theirs on target. 4 of the LA Galaxies on target. 45% shot accuracy, which means basically shot on goal. So 40% for the Galaxy. Nothing doing in terms of expected goals, both under 1, so 0.82 for Herediano, but of course they scored. That was a very, very low XG shot, but again, just well placed just inside of the post. And the LA Galaxy, that's the 3rd straight game, Rob. 0.71 XG, under 1 XG. I'll talk to that a little bit in a second. I thought these were the positive ones. So Rob, in terms of the possession, right? We've seen the Galaxy sort of be even keel on possession in the last couple of games. Well, this is more like the LA Galaxy, 62.7% possession to 37 for Herediano, 512 passes to their 295. So this is more like a typical LA Galaxy, and these are some of the numbers that I thought were very positive. But again, just nothing to show for it in terms
burden
of
of possession,
putting the ball in the back of the net, right? And then nothing else really. I just really like to single those out, but this is the thing, those are positive, but just coming out of this, as I said, there's nothing to show for it. And this kind of bleeds into our first key point, which is, Rob, this offense is really struggling, man. And I had a hunch, and to be fair, like I was listening to what Josh was noting as well during the CVI, and I felt the same way in that the patterns of play, especially in the CVI, some of them were good, especially in that first half of the very last game. Can't remember the opponent right now off the top of my head, but we were there, right? We sat in the bleachers, and we're like, hey, good patterns of play, just nothing to show for it. And I came out of that saying, Rob, we haven't scored a goal in the last game and a half of preseason. This is worrying me, right? And we're seeing that come to fruition. I mean, you talked about Karani coming into the game and not making an impact. Christian Ramirez for 3 games has not made an impact, and he is not an academy player. He is a veteran. And to be honest, man, Miguel Berry, to me, has made more of an impact than Christian Ramirez. So that's been a huge disappointment for me. And you can chalk it up to...
Hold on.
Go for it.
So, okay, go ahead and finish your thought, because I was going to ask you, like, what has it been? Because we know he can score goals. We've seen it. I mean, he has the track record. He's been there and played in the Champions Cup. So what do you think it is? And I think you were going to go there, and I just interrupted you.
Well, it's a little bit of a lack of service, but honestly, like, Miguel Berry is playing with the same players, right? So that's my sort of that's my measuring stick. And Miguel Berry is getting into the right positions. He's making the right channel runs. He's holding the ball up well. Christian Ramirez just looks like a deer in the headlights, right? And maybe that's just him thinking too much, not being familiar with the system. But Miguel Berry has had more of an impact in less minutes than Christian Ramirez, and that's got to turn around, man. Because we know he's a good player, but he's not. He hasn't shown me quite, more than it. He hasn't shown me anything in the first 3 games. He's been really struggling to even get in the right position, right? Just like as a veteran, I would expect you to get at least in the right positions, make the right channel runs, either go far post or near post. And yes, it's been due to a lack of service, but Miguel Berry's playing the same players, man. So, and he's had a couple of interesting chances in the first 3 games.
Crespo hits up a 1 on that super chat. He says, what should we prioritize next transfer window? Ananda, I'm gonna let you go with this one, because you were doing quite a bit of scouting And you showed me a couple of interesting players that the Galaxy, could be after, not could be after, but like a profile that they should be after rather. So what do you think?
Well, yeah, at this point we need someone that can bag goals in the back of the net, man. That's really it. I mean, obviously, like we're missing 2 of our DPs. We're missing Joseph Paintsel, and that vertical threat is huge, man. And that's why we've been so labored, is because we're having to play everything in front of us. There's been no balls over the top. There's been no vertical threat. So teams can just bunker in, and we're playing in front of everyone, right? Instead of passing through the lines, breaking the lines, which is what this Galaxy team was doing to teams last year. They were so dynamic in the attack. And because of that lack of vertical threat, and a guy like Dayon, who knows how to play in the league and knows how to play in Greg Radney's system, that's a huge loss. So, yeah, I would say an attacker for now, but ask me in a month, like we always say.
Oh, okay. I'll ask you in a month and let's see what you think. Because the season, for as long as it is, it goes quick. So we'll probably be there as soon as you can blink your eyes. So, anyway, so you had were you all good on these stats here? You want to talk about this struggling offense a little bit more, or have we kind of beat the horse with the stick here?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the shining light in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of youngsters had a chance to impress in this one. We mentioned Ruben Ramos and Junior and Harbor Miller making their first starts, and for as much as Will and Greg have talked about Ruben Ramos, it was Harbor Miller that kind of shone brighter in this one. Ruben Ramos, for the most part, played a tidy game. There was a couple of times when he was dispossessed or had a heavy touch, and that led to a yellow. But for the most part, he looked all right. Miller looked fantastic in his debut. And G-Cam says it's Miller time. Galaxy fans are usually saying it's Modelo time. But it might be Miller time here pretty soon, because Miller just he had himself a game, man.
Yeah,
and that's why he's one of our defending the badge nominees, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Sean Karani, we already mentioned, he came on for 12 minutes. He didn't make that much of an impact. Isaiah Parente as well, and Elijah Winder played about 30, and he made an impact, but for the wrong reason.
I disagree about slightly about Parente. I think Parente.
Ooh, tell me why.
I actually Parente. Watch that game again. He is a very neat and tidy player. I would love to see him in a double pivot in some games with Serio. Maybe Greg's not willing to put him there in MLS, maybe just due to the physicality. But I thought he was super neat and tidy, man. He actually put in some really nice lofted balls, 2 over the top. One that Gabriel Peck unfortunately looked like he tripped on himself, and then the other one. And then the other one, he hit Karani and Gabriel Peck for a corner. So he's got a nice long ball threat. And like I said, he's very neat and tidy. He's got a good low center of gravity on him. I like his profile actually quite a bit, especially for Greg's team.
I will concede the point. I forgot about those plays right there.
I do like him in that midfield. Yeah, but he's got to play with someone. I don't think he can shoulder that like Serio can in alone. I think he's got to play in a double.
For as much as Parente, as you correctly pointed out, and thanks for pointing out, did have himself a decent game. Again, the bright light here was Harbor Miller. He was absolutely fantastic. Made a couple of last-ditch efforts. In an article in my game wrap-up for the Sporting Tribute, I called out Harbor Miller for fantastic play, giving Greg a viable option right now as the Galaxy are hit with the injury bug, and being able to rely on a 17-year-old academy product is huge. So he's giving Greg an option. So shout out to him, and for not having the bright lights of a continental competition be too big for him. I called out John McCarthy. Obviously, he was fantastic, and we've already spoken about Amiro Garces. I mean, it's not if he goes to Europe, it's when he's that good. I mean, I never doubted his ability, but he's like I'm starting to get that affection for the lad now. So, but all that. For the bright spots that we just talked about, the Galaxy still couldn't pick up that dub, man. And they're now getting desperate for that win, right? Because the longer it goes on, the longer it's going to be that monkey on their back, right? So it's the first time in their history they've lost 3 matches in a row to start a season. I mean, I looked this one up a couple different times through a couple different sources. That's what I was able to find. Somebody please fact check me and tell me I'm wrong, because it's just an ominous fact right now, or stat. The last time the Galaxy lost 4 in a row was actually during a 6-game skid in 2020 from September 19th to October 14th. And they won just once in that 10-game stretch. So hopefully I'm putting that out there to kind of like banish away the bad vibes. And definitely they have the talent and they have, the coaching to go ahead and avoid a skid like that. But Ananda, we already told you guys about McCarthy having himself a game. For me, my moment of the match for him was his point blank save in, I believe, the first half. Did you have one?
It was in between that or that Marco miss, the save on the other end, right? I think 1-1, Rob, we're looking at a completely different conversation. I think we go back much more confident, especially going into the next league match, right, against St. Louis. That's not going to be an easy match. We'll bring on Mode here in just a second to talk about that match. But that now looks like if Diego said the last game was must win, boy, does this game ever now look like a must win, at least getting a result, man, just to get the confidence back up, because this thing can go sideways really quick, right? All those games in the schedule are going to look a lot tougher if we don't get a result this weekend at home.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of unfortunate that 3 games into the season we've already dropped the standard from, we need a result at home to from we need to win at home because it's home field, it's a fortress, so I don't know. It's just kind of like managing expectations at the moment. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and give you guys our defending the badge nominees here. Harbor Miller, we've already talked about. Again, shining a light in this one. It was his first start, 2 passes in the final third, 2 clearances, an interception, 5 recoveries, 5 duels won, and one foul. In his debut, John McCarthy made 4 saves in his return to the lineup. Emilio Garces won 6 tackles, most in the match, and most by a player from an MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup since 2019. 91% pass accuracy, 3 clearances, 1 interception, 6 recoveries, 8 duels won, which was the most in the match. And Julian Aude was your last candidate. 2 chances created, 5 duels won, 7 recoveries. And with 92 million votes tabulated, Emilio Garces is your winner for this week. And so, less said about that game, the better. Leg 2 next week on Wednesday, on March 12th. We'll go ahead and bring you that preview, let you know when that one is. But on to the next one. And the Galaxy need that win. And here to tell us more about how maybe the Galaxy, give us an inside scoop on the Galaxy's opponent, how maybe the Galaxy can get that win. Here to help us break down that game plan or potential op against for the Galaxy, our good friend Musa Moseka. Please welcome our hermano. ¿Cómo estás?
Back.
How's it going, fellas?
Hey.
How's it going, Mo?
So really quick, I need a favor.
Uh-oh.
Let us cop 3 points, yeah?
It's not Christmas time, sorry.
Wow, okay. Well, I thought I'd ask. I mean, a closed mouth goes hungry, and you're such an amiable guy, man, that I was like, no, I just got to ask and see how it goes. But yeah, man, welcome back. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Likewise. But let's not forget, though, when it comes to soccer and football, once I pass that white line, I'm a different person.
Oh, okay, right on. Oh, well, then you got to come out to LA and hit our pickup game,
Yep.
and just have a couple of kicks around with us, man. But
Yes.
this is based on St. Louis results. It looks like St. Louis needs a win as well. The Galaxy desperately need a win. No wins out of 3. Taking current results out of the picture, how optimistic were you about St. Louis going into season? Well, on a scale 1 to 10, maybe.
I'll say I was on the 8.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us why. Mo.
Especially,
Yeah.
tell us why. Yes. especially for with our summer transfer, how well it went, and going towards the end of the season, we were actually playing a nicer football and we were scoring. We were kind of you starting to see the player enjoy playing soccer again as much. So that's why I was kind of hot on, and then just watching the preseason and the coach, and that's why I was very optimistic because new season, you're supposed to go clean slate if you had a bad season. You guys, I understand you can celebrate because you're the current champ, but for those that aren't, you press reset from there, and that's how I walk into every season.
The Galaxy are hoping to hit reset here this weekend, man. But man,
what we call Olympia around these parts.
Yeah, Olympia for sure. And that's why it's sad for hours times 3 here on the pod tonight because, like we mentioned, the Galaxy debuted in the Champions Cup and they took that L. But St. Louis hasn't lost to start the season, but they haven't won either. They haven't scored a goal yet. I mean, they scored one, but it was chalked off on opening day due to offside. What's been the failure to launch for St. Louis so far? Like, why haven't they been able to get things going?
I think it's probably still learning maybe the coach tactic for the midfield and the forwards. If you look at it now, our center backs and our defense is locked down because even though we have not scored any goals, we also have not conceded any goals.
Right.
Where before everybody was questioning our defense. So with our coach being a former center back and that was very successful, the way I see it now these days is maybe we're working, from the back going up. So we're not worrying about our goalkeeper. Now we're not really worrying about our defense. So maybe Galaxy will be the right game to unlock those goals.
Well, that's kind of ominous because the Galaxy haven't been scoring goals and St. Louis has not been conceding goals. That does not bode well for a Galaxy win here this weekend, but hopefully they buck that trend. Sunday's match marks the 5th time that these two teams meet. The Galaxy trail in the series 0-1-3. In 2 matches played last year, they held a 0-1-1 record. The last time they played at the Digs, Maya Yoshida scored that dramatic stoppage time goal, 95th minute, to tie the game 3-3 in front of a sellout crowd. But the last time these two teams met at all, the Galaxy fell 2-1 on the road. And generally one of their weaker performances last year. That, of course, we've mentioned a bunch of times. The Galaxy has not won this year. So in the standings, they're 0-2-0, 0 points, -3 goal differential, 14th place after 2 matches played. St. Louis is in 11th place on 2 points, 1 point per game. As Mo mentioned, they haven't conceded a goal, but neither have they scored a goal yet. 5 shots on goal at home against Colorado versus only 2 on the road against San Diego. Mo, do the stats tell the whole story here? Did maybe San Diego have a good game plan? Did St. Louis threaten but couldn't really get those chances on goal? What did you see out of those first 2 matches?
I think those were the two tale of like 2 games that were totally different. Against Colorado, since they played the CCC, so we all knew that they were tired already, so that they were going to be that explosive. That's why you saw I think 14 goals on shots versus 2. So they pretty much just bunkered down and for them, the tie was pretty much like a win. And for the San Diego, it was more of San Diego, their front 3 were all fast forward. It's their home opener. So they wanted to score more goals. St. Louis was a little bit more timid going forward. So that's why you saw, then it was a full contrast from the previous game where San Diego had more shots on goal and we had about 2. So I think it's almost showing us like the contrast of the one team gave us the ball, but we were not effective to scoring goals. And then the other way around where the team was pressing us, we were not able to play our own game to try to score. So it kind of gives us an idea of maybe what the third game is going to look like, because now we know when the team is sitting down, how we're performing, and when that's pressing us, how we're performing. So now I'm expecting them for this game to press a lot more. They're not in the cold of St. Louis, so um, maybe that's third time is the charm for the coach.
Ananda, you'd be a good one, kind of give like a not a counterpoint, but kind of like a little bit more detail on that. As Mo said, they struggled against a San Diego team that presses. The Galaxy, faced the same thing in the first match against San Diego. Do you expect the Galaxy to employ that press as well against St. Louis?
No, we're typically, Greg's typically not a counter, or sorry, a pressing sort of type of coach. It's funny, Alex and I talked about that a little bit too in the Los Galácticos episode that we did, but I think he does it in spurts. And we saw it in spurts in San Diego when Alex and I pulled up the footage. There were moments in the game where we cornered them. We tried to pin them in the corner. But somehow, some way, San Diego kept wriggling out of that pressure. So I think it's not a committed press, and I think we do it in spurts. But this is going to be really interesting. And I was going to actually ask Mo in terms of the style of play that he's seeing heading into the season. I always remember St. Louis as that team, and maybe this is like a couple seasons ago, where you had, your Jacquarinis, your AZ Jacksons, and you were a very dynamic team, just a lot of speed through the middle and the sides, and you were very high press, high intensity. Are you seeing the same a little bit now, or is it a little bit reverting a little bit to be more tactically sound and maybe in certain points hit on the counter? What are you seeing this season, Mo?
You could pretty much see the shift from like the Red Bull pressing to, I think that now they're trying to hold the ball a little bit more and try to be a little bit more creative instead of being like a bull in the China store.
Yeah.
And that's why you see some of the, Leuven and Hartel, they're a little bit more, holding the ball, dribble, and see what open space it is versus, I'm going to run through you, steal the ball, and force you to make a mistake. And I think that's probably where they're still trying to get the coach's idea of what he's looking for from his midfielders. And you see Akil Watts is now playing a lot more. He started the first 2 games. So that adds a little bit more dynamic to our midfield. But it looks like our Tuchel and Leuven are still trying to see how to be the maestro in the midfield. That's why you see a lot of the pass. Our last game, our pass were not the greatest. And as you know, I'm not the stat guy, so I just watch what's on the field. But you could see there was not many passes that were completed. When you see a player, looking at their teammate and going like this with their hands, you're like, that's not a good look.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
No. So that's why I'm hoping that, maybe the next few practices now that they know the defense is solid for the time being, that now they can kind of work on the connection between our midfield and our forward, because we need Klaus to feel a little bit more comfortable on the ball, and he just need that one goal to get him going.
Wow. Yeah, Mel, I'll back you up on that. Just looking it up right now against the last game that you had against San Diego, 629 accurate passes for San Diego versus St. Louis's 215. So,
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's but that's a resilient game plan and team that plays, like you've mentioned a couple times already, a good defensive plan, a good defensive match, and they get that shutout, right? I mean, you're basically bunkered down at that point.
I would too if I had a goalkeeper. I would too if I had a goalkeeper like that.
But also, and I think that's what also makes us a lot more comfortable in St. Louis at this moment, knowing now that our back three, it's making Berkey do a lot less work, right? Even though we like to brave about our goalkeeper having a credible stats, but I enjoy having my goalkeeper having less stats when it comes to stopping the ball and all that. I'd rather him read a magazine on the field than having to stop 22 shots and stand on top of his head. So I think that's the one that kind of quite interesting, having LA Galaxy with their current form and having St. Louis in their current form. Are we looking at a sort of boring game, or it's going to be one of those, because we got spoiled on the last one when it was 3-3.
Sure did. Yeah.
But this one here, we're not really certain what's going to happen because you guys are, emergency FC. That's how I call every team that has way too many injuries. But we're still trying to find our ways with our coach.
Yeah.
And then we're
Damn
on
true. It's
Sunday.
emergency FC. Ooh, Galaxy.
Way too early, FC, man.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
like every time I pull up the standings and the power ranking, I was like, it's 2 games in. Come on, guys. Like, it really doesn't matter. Come on, let's just not hit panic stations.
It sets a tone, though. We saw how in the first
Sets
match.
a tone, but
Miami,
tone can be reset.
And
Okay.
I agree with you. Power ranking after 2 games,
Come on.
you're pushing it.
Yeah.
And I saw the
what I'm saying.
rankings, and I'm like, they're putting some teams very high. I'm like, 2 games.
Yeah.
I wait for 5 games, and then that's what tells me where you are.
That's
2.
a good sample size. Five is all right. Well, hopefully around 5-6 games where the Galaxy is going to start getting some players back. They have a long injury list. Of course, the long-term one, Ricky Puig. But then you also have the other designated player, Joseph Paintsill. Mauricio Cuevas is out, hamstring. Mickey Yamane is out as well. Mateus Nascimento is out. And then, of course, you have Lucas Sanabria, who's confirmed has that fractured collarbone.
Yeah, hopefully you get some updates on that tomorrow, Rob. Especially Mickey Yamane. That's a big one. If we can get him back, so we'll see.
That sounds like St. Louis last year.
Hey Mo, we have a super chat. We'll go ahead and throw this one over to you. Adam says a player Galaxy should look out for from St. Louis. Who's the danger man for St. Louis?
For danger man, so you're looking for offensive, because at this moment, are anyone that's being celebrated at this moment? It's Henry Kessler, but he's a center back. To be honest, our midfield and forwards right now, they're here and there. But I would say Klaus is probably the one that you still look out for, because even though his form is not there, but he's literally dying to score. And I wouldn't put that beyond him to maybe open the score this Sunday.
Don't put that on him, man. Come on. That's too much pressure. Come on. Don't do that.
I saw the practice before they left, and I can tell you that there's a couple players that have points to prove. And having Klaus actually starting on the bench, our DP starting on the bench, that signal you that, the coach has also sent him a message.
A wake-up call, if you will. So yeah, I mean he's going to be wanting to prove his coach wrong and saying, hey, pick me, I'm available, right? St. Louis doesn't have a couple of players available though. Jake Reich, Jaden Reed, Joachim Nielsen, and Rasmus Alm. First off, who's the biggest miss on this list? I know Gertrude Reich and Jaden Reed don't really play that often. They're more depth pieces, but Nielsen and Alm had prominent roles last year. Do you know if there's anybody else out, and are these 2 players going to be big misses?
So the one that I'm missing the most at this moment is Reed. I don't know if you guys watched the other games. So since he was the left back, so he's like more of an explosive guy. So you will see him run down the flanks and cross in the box where Klaus would usually find himself. So he's a little bit more explosive than our center backs and left and right back that we have that kind of stay back a little bit more. And Nielsen is probably the biggest miss because he's also a DP and, Sweden international, but he's been getting injured way too much. So he's still a question mark as like the big names missing. And Alms I think he's still trying to recover from last year's injury. So we're not missing as much as last year. It's just that these guys just have been injured so much that the current players, the first team, and the backups are not making us miss them just yet.
Hey Mo, Adam sends us a super chat and he questions. Go ahead and remind us: is Berkey one of St. Louis City's DPs?
Not anymore. And he also got bought down.
Oh, interesting.
He got bought down. That's crazy. Any recollection on how much he's making?
I think he's the highest paid one, so he's
Max
in
Tam.
the million plus.
Yeah.
Yes,
Max
and I think
Tam.
that's the way where they kind of finesse the MLS ways of doing business to put him to get him in, which I think that was genius. But
Yeah.
and he was worth all the money in the world at this because he's pretty much St. Louis.
Absolutely. And Mo, you guys are on the, remind me again, you guys are on the 3DP setup, or are you guys on the 2DP U22 setup?
2 DPs.
2 DP. Okay.
Yes.
For U22s. Got it.
Because they bought down Berkey, so he would have been the third one, but they bought him down.
Yes. So I think they're doing pretty well on the money side of things. I think playing money ball, and Berkey is also on his last season. So last year of his contract. So
yeah.
let's see how how that works out.
Hey, Berkey reunites with Marco Royce in LA. Let's go.
Who's Royce? Anyways, I don't remember that guy.
A lot of Galaxy fans are kind of feeling
saying the same
way.
thing.
Yeah, are saying the same thing you are.
Well, I saw his interview. He's enjoying California, so I think maybe his vacation has started. But I won't say anything because he might, that might backfire.
He might throw egg in your face. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But,
especially since him and Berkey are supposedly good friends, and
not supposedly, they are very good friends.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to score on your friend, right? You always want to,
or you want to stop him.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to go hard at each other. I mean, we will probably see Marco Royce this weekend, but he did not start the last Galaxy MLS match. But Mo, on your side, do you expect the same starting lineup as the one they put out against San Diego?
No. If the coaches keep doing it like the way he's doing now, I wouldn't expect to have the same starting lineup.
Who do you think comes in?
I'm wondering probably if Klaus comes in. And now the question will be who will be sacrificed in the midfield, because Tuchel cannot be replaced. Hartel, no. So I think probably one of our left or right midfielder might have to be sacrificed for that one.
For the offensive firepower. Well,
yes.
You've called Klaus to get a goal and him to be the danger man in this one. So we'll definitely be watching out for him.
But for the question now for you guys, who should St. Louis look out for?
Ooh, Ananda, do you want to go first because I went first last time?
I mean, you always say this, Cuse. I mean, the obvious answer is going to be Gabriel Peck, right, Mo? But the problem is he's been really targeted by the opposing coaches and opposing teams. They've kind of wanted to make sure that Gabriel Peck stays in front of them and not get in behind, and that's where his biggest threat is. And I think they realize that, look, if we lock down that left side, the Galaxy really don't go up your right-hand side or our left-hand side. We don't really generate many attacks from there, but he's the obvious danger man. And then I think, honestly, after that, it's kind of a toss-up. And this is the problem right now with the Galaxy, Mo, is that there's no consistency in terms of who that second guy is, right? You probably were listening to us backstage, and that Christian Ramirez, who we signed from Columbus, has really struggled this year. In fact, Miguel Berry, who's much maligned, he's our substitute striker or second-rate striker. I mean, he's been performing better than the starter. So I think that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, Marco Royce, I think that storyline behind it is interesting, right? So I would expect him to start. I don't know about you, Rob, but I would expect him to start, even though he played 70 minutes in Costa Rica, just based off of like the storyline behind it and that extra motivation. He's probably going to play, if he starts, he's probably going to play like maybe 60, 65. But I think I would say just based on talent and just based off of like on paper, those are it, because no one's really showed anything else. Now, the only thing I'll say is if Mickey Yamane is healthy, that's another guy you got to look out for, because I think he's been our best player, arguably, throughout the CVI
I don't
and
think
into
it's
the
gonna be ready,
season.
but we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. Greg said I think this is what, a week ago now, Rob. He said that we left Mickey at home to kind of recuperate and recover. So we'll see what the report is on him tomorrow. But yeah, without him, it's man, we'll get to predictions later, but this might be another snooze fest.
I feel a little bit more confident knowing that, Push and they're over there watching. I feel a little bit better with that.
And JP, man, don't forget the Unbreakable one. He's got a new single out too. So shout out JP.
Yeah, he can make music.
Nah, man, the Galaxy definitely could use JP to come back and flex his talents on the field just like he has been in the booth. And yes, Ananda's right. It is a banger, Mo. Go ahead and check it out, man. It's really good.
It's Afrobeat, man. Fire.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Then it is fire. Don't have to convince me.
Ananda, before we get into our fill in the blank here, you want to hit up your betting odds with Dr. Raquinho?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. So Mo, I don't know if this fills you with more or less confidence, but the Galaxy right now are at a -143. That's 59%. That's quite high. But remember, Rob, we saw this very similar story with San Diego at home, and we know how that all turned out. St. Louis, 22%, not terrible, but not the best odds, +350. Not your financial advisor, but you can go ahead and take your shot there. And tell Mo thank you if you guys do get a result. That's a 22% win probability. So yeah, I mean, the bookies are obviously favoring the home team and quite heavily, 60%. But I don't want to say that dreaded 2-letter word, Robert, but you know what I'm going to say, and I just don't want to speak it into existence because I want to speak a Galaxy win into existence. It starts with a T and ends with an E.
Yeah, no, I think I know where you're going here, but I don't even think it'll be a trap game. I'm going to say it because the Galaxy are in a moment right now where they haven't looked great. So I mean, it would be a trap game for me if they've looked fantastic all year. And it's just, again, we have to temper expectations to what they are right now because they are where they are.
Where they thought we were.
They are. Yes, good, well done. Congratulations to you. Really quick clarification. We've brought up Mickey Yamane a couple times, and I was hoping to find this tweet because we did talk to Greg the other day in the lead up to the CONCACAF Champions match about Mickey Yamane, and on the 4th, he told us, we'll see. It was a minor hamstring, grade 1, usually 10 days to 2 weeks. We need to see where he is at when we get to the later half of this week.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like they'll assess him at the end of this week, but I don't think he's going to be available. I mean, if I had to guess, he's just too important to what they're trying to do long term to risk him. I mean, he did say it was a minor hamstring, but I mean, why would you risk him? I mean, yes, he's important to what you're trying to do. I mean, but again, he's important to what you're trying to do for the long term. So, I wouldn't risk him personally. But that's just, from the horse's mouth, Greg Vanny. Well, Mo, we're going to give you a fill in the blank here. Something we do normally here on this pod. For St. Louis to win this match, they have to ... That's for St. Louis to win this match, they have to ... Take it away.
I think they'll have to play much better in the midfield because I think the connection is pretty much lacking all across the midfield, which then lead to the miscommunication with the forward. So, yes, I think we have to do much better in the midfield, and Leuven has to be himself.
Sound familiar, Rob?
Yeah. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. That midfield, man. That midfield. I mean, you and Alex said it in those good tacticals. That midfield. So it sounds eerily similar. Before we get into yours, Ananda, because I went first last time, The one and only
See this?
Rocio says,
See what I got to put up with every show.
Does he say that all the time? Also,
Oh yeah, it's like a default setting in in his wiring there.
nah,
in his
man.
mic.
The facts will support this chat. Go ahead and keep it on the level. You guys know what's good. You guys know that I went first last time. Anyway, the one and only Rocio says, keep their composure and have better communication. Yeah, I mean, communication is key, and this team hasn't really been connected. So let's work on that communication, y'all. Ananda, I'm gonna be a nice guy and go ahead and go first this time because
There it is.
yeah, no,
Peer pressure, Mo. Peer pressure works all the time.
Yeah,
I
I'm
see.
gonna be a nice guy. I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback off the one and only. That communication is key. They haven't been finding those connections. Ananda, you said it earlier, those partnerships haven't been there. You're gonna need not only that communication, but you're going to need these veteran players like Marco Reus and Diego Fagundes to kind of shepherd this team through this moment. And Diego's already talked about it. They are kind of down at the moment. He said in the lead up before this CONCACAF Champions Cup match after Vancouver that they know where they are at the moment and they're doing everything they can to fix it. So they're going to have to look to those leaders like Diego, like Marco Reus. And even younger guys like Cerrillo, who he's young, but he was a vital part of that championship winning side, right? So you're not going to have your biggest offensive weapons, but somehow you're still going to have to get this result. So you're going to need that experience to go ahead and get these players to keep that composure, like the one and only Rocio said, and realize, hey, it's a game at home in front of our fans. Let's stick to the system. Let's stick to the plan, and we should be able to get a result. Last pod, XPH, I believe, brought up that, is the Galaxy unlucky to not be able to get a result in those first two matches? And they had moments where they had chances to take at least a result in both those matches. They had chances against Herediano. So, again,
fine margins.
Fine margins. And so, like I said, piggybacking off of the one and only Rocio, keep that composure, have better communication, and then I've been harping on it today. Somebody's got to put that ball in the back of the net. Somebody's got to step up.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian's gonna back you up right there. He said, "Galaxy the win. They need to score goals, right? 1 goal in 3 games ain't gonna get it done." I'll actually back you up there, Adrian. I tweeted this out earlier today, and again, Mo, this might give you a little more confidence as a St. Louis fan. But I put up this stat earlier today, and in the Galaxy's first 3 games in last year, 2024, we scored 6 goals from a total of 11 big chances, while logging at least 1.6 xG or more in each game. In the first 3 games this season, the G's have only scored 1 goal from a total of 3 big chances, unable to log at least 1 xG in any match. And that's just, there's a lot of reasons behind that, but that stat is pretty damning, right? For the LA Galaxy. And so, I mean, honestly, Robin, to that point, I think the Galaxy just need to build on the positives that we saw the last game, which was more like the Galaxy of old in terms of possession, in terms of the number of passes, controlling possession in the opposition zone. I think we need to see more of that. But more than anything, man, they just need to, and this might, I might get some pelters for this, but they need to continue to believe in the process, right? I think the problem is this is new territory for the Galaxy. This is new territory for this team. I think the stat was only 5 out of the 11 starters from MLS Cup started on day 1 of the MLS season, whether that's through the departures, injuries. We cannot expect a team that is missing their top 2 DPs. I said this before. You take 2 DPs out of any MLS team, and they're going to struggle, right? Especially if you have arguably your best player, the talisman of this team, Ricky Puig, who is that guy? I mean, he would have bailed us out probably in this first 3 games with just a threaded through ball or just a moment of magic. And that's what you need, right? We talked about the fine margins earlier, Rob. This is the special moments that you need to break those deadlocks and to get yourself in front of games. Unfortunately, that's not it. But yeah, this game, man, we just need to put our imprint in the game early. I think we need to continue to believe in Greg's process and all those other things that you talked about, communication and stuff like that. I think those things will flow, but we just need to keep on believing, man. I think the one thing is if you lose belief in the locker room, I think that's where things start to go further downhill than it should. So I think as long as the togetherness is there on this team, and hopefully there's been a lot of good team bonding too over these last, some crazy trips, man. Flight to Vancouver, 7-hour trip to Costa Rica, right? A lot of travel. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if St. Louis gets to us early, because like Mo said, even on their Colorado game, we're going to be tired, right? And I think St. Louis is going to pick up on that pretty early. So let's stamp our imprint on this game early. And yeah, just keep on building on the good things that we saw last game. And like you said, got to put the ball in the back of the net, though. That's the name of the game.
Necesitamos un gol. Studio says Cerrillo to get back to last year's form. I gotta back Studio up on this one. Cerrillo's been good, but he's not been at the level he was last year, and maybe that's because of the personnel as well. There was different personnel around him. But no, I mean, he again, I think that's just a function of time, as well as the players around him start to learn
personnel. It's definitely personnel. You can't Ricky Puig and Mark Delgado against, two youngsters basically, or even just a Marco Royce who hasn't been performing to the level this year yet. So I think there's no comparison there, to be fair.
Well, I think with time, again, they're going to learn where they're supposed to be and get that familiarity, and you're going to see that Cerrillo that you saw last year. But receipt time, Mo. So we're going to put you on the spot. And
you sure you don't want to go first?
I always go first. You saw it just a moment ago. I mean, like there's the evidence. I mean, I said, I always go first, and then you saw it in real time. It always happens. But chat, go ahead and give us your predictions as well. If you want me to go first, I'll go first. But you're a guest, so it's only right that we let you go first, right? What do you think? Who do you think wins this game? What do you think the scoreline might be?
That's a hard one. I definitely do not want to tie, but I would say 2-1 St. Louis. But if I was a neutral, I'll probably say 0-0.
Well, 0-0 would be 3 in a row for St. Louis, and would at least be a point for the Galaxy. So that's a come up for the Galaxy so far. So Mo's going with a 2-1. If he was a neutral, he says 0-0. 0-0 does not seem unlikely. However, I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Galaxy win. I'm calling their first win of the year, and they finally get a little bit of good luck. They haven't had any of that good champions luck from last year. They're going to get a little good luck, I'm predicting, this weekend, and run out for their first victory, give the home fans something to cheer about. Ananda, I believe you disagree with me, however.
No, I think, I mean, honestly, as a neutral, I actually agree with Mo. I think this kind of has 0-0 written all over it. You've got a great keeper on one side, and then on the other side, I mean, we've been pretty decent defensively, but of course we're prone to a mistake like Garces in the first game against San Diego, right? And that completely blew the doors open on that game. I think my heart pick though, Rob, it's a very, very narrow 1-0. I honestly don't know, based off of our goal production, how we're going to get that goal, but we are going to get a goal somehow. I think
Greg's going to sign me to a short term.
I think so. You're going to run down from the press box, right? And
bro,
and put a suit on.
We've already
put your Copa Mundials on and call it a day, right?
Oh, all day, man. Put on my Preds. I got signed to a short term for 5 pupusas from AFCHA. Shout out AFCHA.
There you go. Shout out AFCHA. Yeah. I mean, again, both teams have not shown a lot of offensive potential in the first two games, so I don't see that trend reversing so quickly into the season. I think it's going to take times for both teams to get going, but this is the thing with these games, right? If there's not a lot of attacking verve on either end, either great shot stopping or just bad finishing, right? It'll only take one mistake, one moment of brilliance, one moment of magic, or a mistake like we saw in the San Diego game to blow the doors wide open. It's going to be an interesting match, man. But the Galaxy, the further the game goes along, 0-0, getting to the second half, that crowd is going to be nervous, man. We were nervous against San Diego, and it turned out to be an absolute kind of an embarrassment, right, for the home opener against an expansion team. They're like, Mo, like 7th in the power rankings or something ridiculous after 2 games. Come on, like.
I will plead the fifth. It will be another show all along.
I think they're in the top 10. But anyways, but yeah, I think against an expansion team, you expect more than that. So, but again, it's going to be a nervy stadium. The longer this game goes on 0-0, and with Berkey shot stopping and with the Galaxy's lack of clinical edge right now, I can see that happening, man. I can see a nervy stadium heading to the final 15-20 minutes of that game.
Well, we have Mo at the 2-1 St. Louis. I am calling a 2-1 Galaxy win, and Ananda's calling a 1-0 Galaxy win. However, we all agree that it could very well be a 0-0. And
absolutely.
And again,
I'll take it. I'll take it at this point.
Yeah, for Mo and St. Louis,
bleeding.
They probably won't be too happy with another 0-0, but I'm sure Galaxy fans would be happy with a tie, and any kind of not loss or injury at the moment would be very fine for the Galaxy fans at the moment, I think. Mo, before we get on out of here, man, before we let you out of here, please go ahead and tell these listeners where they can find you and where they can get some more information about St. Louis soccer.
But I'm a troublemaker, so I have a question for you guys.
Get it.
First.
Get it.
So I know for us in St. Louis, this is almost like a must-win game. Is this also one for you, LA Galaxy fans?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, I think just by product of all the injuries, it's gonna suck severely if they don't pick up a win. But again, I mean, they could pick up a tie, and I think it would be satisfactory because, you're not gonna have to play all the young lads that you did in the Champions, but you're still going to have a rotated squad. You still have a squad that's traveled a bunch. You're only going to probably get like 60 minutes out of Marco Reus. You're going to have young players still playing their part in this one, right? So a tie, again, would be, I think, satisfactory. I don't think it's a must win. I think if they lose, the alarm bells continue to ring. They have been already. It also matters in the way they lose, because if it's like, a 4-3 goal fest, Galaxy fans might be encouraged by the goal production, not by the loss itself, but it's a long season. I think if anything, more of a must win is that Wednesday match, the return leg at home against Herediano, because that's a tournament that the Galaxy could conceivably win if they turn things around. If they beat Herediano, they're into the quarterfinal already. I think might be tough against Cincy, or I believe Leon or Tigres, but yeah. Anyway,
Tigres. Yeah, I think that just the championship last year, Mo, I think that's going to give, at least for Galaxy fans, that's credit in the bank, right? So that gives us a little bit of breathing room. So it's not a similar situation, I don't think, in St. Louis, right? Where you guys, to be fair though, you guys are still a new team. Third season now in the league. So I think it's just very different circumstances, Mo. And I think, like I said, it's not panic stations yet, but 10 games in. I mean, look, last year, I brought the stat up last time. Seattle had 2 points in the first 5 matches, and I believe 9 points in their first 10. Right. And then they made that late surge. So not panic stations yet, especially if you made the Western Conference Finals. So I think that championship definitely bought Galaxy fans time for sure.
All right, lucky you guys then.
However, Mo, I did start seeing. Well, I mean, a couple of Galaxy accounts always throw out the hashtag Vanny out in jest mostly, but this weekend I saw some more Vanny out hashtags, and I saw my first couple of Kuntz out hashtags as well. And
that's always at 5%.
Yeah, and Will Kuntz is again. This man is brilliant. So he one time said that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And like I said, I saw a couple just a couple of days ago. So yeah, man. So it's not a must win, but it's dire situation at the moment. Hopefully the Galaxy can turn it around. And yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead and hit us with your tag here. Let us know what you've been doing, where the people can find you. And yeah.
Yeah, so you can pretty much find me everywhere in all your social platform on MoFutbol TV or MoFutbol Pod TV. And what I've been working on now is, I think we spoke about it a little bit with the High School Champions League.
Yes, you did.
So in St. Louis, the boys had their first last year. Now the girls kicked off theirs now.
Hey.
There's like, probably 5 or 6 other cities that are planning their High School Champions League. So before you know it, it will be state-wise, and then it will be state against states. It's going to be schools against schools. And, the goal is to make it national. And the whole purpose is no one pays for it. And it's just, if you play on a high school team, your team qualifies, you're in the Champions League. And that's how it happens. And just spreading out the sports of football all across from coast to coast.
Bring it to California, man.
Just sharing my love to football with everybody else and hanging out with you guys all the time. And, I'm not a journalist like you guys. I just talk football all day long, and I enjoy it. I record it. I spread it. And
I'm not a journalist either, man. Come on.
Oh, dude, you are. Come on.
Hey, well, you're going to have to come visit us one day here in California when St. Louis comes down. We're going to have to show you around. Oh, that's awesome.
Not this year, because I will be in Africa in June. So I got to save the wife ain't going to let me do that much traveling, but
Your Minister of Finance.
Yes. So next season, the plan is a LAFC game, LA Galaxy, San Diego. I'm hitting all those, and I will be at the Coachella next year. I will be there for the entire tournament.
Oh, that is wonderful. Well, we'll definitely see you at the CVI. That's one of Ananda and I's favorite events, man. We look forward to it, man. But we're probably going to be talking and sending each other messages throughout this game. Good luck to you this weekend. Not too much luck. The Galaxy need the win. I opened the show by saying, are you feel like gifting 3 points? I'll end the show by saying no. Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
It's my Christmas.
Mo, we really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Good luck this weekend.
All right.
Gracias, hermano.
Likewise, just not too much.
All right, man. Thanks. Buenas noches. Bye.
Well, Galaxy fans, you heard the game preview. We're going to go ahead and hit you up with a couple of announcements before we get out of here. Ananda's already laughed at the power rankings a couple of times today, but the Galaxy fell out of the top 10 for the first time since the season has started. They are down 10 spots to 18th. They are still in the top 20. However, the 2 early season losses have given them a massive drop in the rankings. Tickets are now on sale for the League's Cup. The Galaxy are against Mexican opposition for 3 games, all played at the Dig. 7:31 against Tijuana, the return of Efra. 8-3 versus Cruz Azul, and 8-7 versus Santos Laguna. All these young academy or young VCFC players that the Galaxy has featured recently can be seen, or a lot of them can be seen, in this next season of MLS Next Pro, which kicks off pretty soon. Ventura County has just announced their roster for the year. These 16 players are the 2025 VCFC roster. Coach Matt Taylor begins the second season with the club after leading VCFC to an 8-9-11 record and an appearance in the playoffs. And 5 of the roster are former LA Galaxy Academy products. So you guys can go ahead and check them out on March 7th when they open their season against Tacoma Defiance or Seattle Sounders 2 at 7 p.m. at the Willie Roll. Is that a thing yet, Ananda? Have I gotten into catch on at all?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I'm gonna keep going with Willie Roll. So at the Willie Roll on March 7th at 7 p.m., UCFC kick off their season. Go ahead and check them out. Happy birthday to Landon Donovan, the Galaxy statue. One of the Galaxy statues that's in Legends Plaza is this man right here, Galaxy legend, U.S. men's national team legend, criminally left at home by Jurgen Klinsmann. Shame. Turned 43 on the 4th. He played for the Galaxy 253 times, 128 goals and 117 assists in all competitions, 6 MLS Cups in his career, a Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and 2 supporter shields. This man is probably one of the best players, if not the best player in MLS history. With a heavy heart, we do want to wish Doug Hamilton a happy birthday. He would have been 62 years old today. He's the former president and general manager of the Galaxy, credited with being the architect of their first 2 championships, and he also brought a U.S. Open Cup trophy win to the team. The MLS Executive of the Year award is named after him because this man won 3 awards in a row: 2003, 2004, and 2005. Happy birthday to Doug Hamilton. Donde que estés. And LA Galaxy Kings Night is on Tuesday, March 11th. The Kings take on the Islanders. That is just around the corner, guys. Tickets start at $29. And in honor of this, the Galaxy and the Kings have teamed up for a collaboration. They say a collab built on the legacy of champions. This one drops on 3/11, the same day as the game. Go ahead and pick this one up. That jacket's pretty fire, man. I dig it. Baddies night is, or Baddies day, because it's not nighttime. Anyway, when this game happens against St. Louis, is back on 3/9 for this match on the weekend. It's the 4th annual, and this is a woman-led game day experience. You're gonna have the ladies in the Capo box showing out and leading Galaxy fans over there in Lars, and this new T-shirt as well by the one and only Miss Yellow. And this is, again, for me, a lovely representation of a love letter to Los Angeles here. So that's definitely an instant cop for me. I'm going to go ahead and get that one for sure. Bueno, si la ministra de Finanzas nos deja, ¿verdad, Nanda?
Como siempre.
And the trophy will be at the Taco Man in Upland on Saturday, 3/8 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Not a lot to cheer about, but there's always this, the championship trophy from 2024. Go ahead and check it out in Upland at Taco Man. And hopefully this man kicks off a good game day experience and the good vibes. Harry Mack is going to be doing that game day pregame appearance. This is, I mean, if you guys haven't been put on game, Harry Mack is a fantastic lyricist. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It says that he's going to be doing a DJ set, so I don't know how much he's going to be, putting down bars, Ananda, but hopefully he does. And then finally, we'll end this pod, Ananda, in support of the Podfather. Guys, you know how much Josh does for this community, and he's put out the call after really not asking for anything, man, in celebration of 40 years of the OCME. Help keep this nonprofit and their trains rolling by donating to their 40K for 40 years campaign. Your support keeps their track engines and cars running while providing free train rides and tours for so many. And again, this is put out by the Podfather Josh Gessman. They need your support at the train club. Go ahead and donate if you can. And show the Podfather a little love. And I think that kind of wraps us up, Ananda. Do you have anything to add before we get on out of here?
Always try to leave last word to chat, right? So I started this comment a little bit earlier, but Adriano Hurtado says, Galaxy going through the growing pains, better days ahead. And that's all I'm going to say, right? We really are going through our growing pains. I think patience is going to be a virtue here. And hopefully we'll see some improvements, right? We saw some improvements against Herediano. We need to build on those. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I'm also looking forward to the match. Going back to the digs this weekend, should be a sunny day. I know it's been raining here in Southern California these last couple days, but should be a perfect day. I just looked at the weather, 68 degrees when it is going to be match day with the sun fully out. So should be a good one. And hopefully we are treated to, hopefully they'll give us something to cheer about, man. The digs needs to be a fortress. Like I said, like we've said over and over, really these last 12 months, but really need to make it fortress. So can't wait to see you guys out there.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where we'll leave it. Ananda's right. It needs to become that fortress again. The Galaxy need to buck the trend and get a win. And no matter what happens, we'll bring you our Galaxy versus St. Louis reaction pod / Champions Cup second leg preview on Monday, March 10th. Hopefully we're reporting and talking about a Galaxy win. A week from today, we'll bring you our Champions Cup reaction to the second leg of the Galaxy versus Herediano on Thursday, March 13th. That same night, we'll bring you our Portland preview as the Galaxy go back out on the road to face the Timbers on Sunday, March 16th, and hopefully by that time we're talking about a much improved Galaxy side. We've talked about it at length. These injuries aren't helping, but there's always a starting point, and hopefully that starts this weekend. Anything else, Ananda?
Only one thing left to say, right?
Only one thing left to say. LA strong, y'all. Vamos campeones. And G's up.